All right, everybody, welcome back to the 307 podcast. We ain't got Chad here today. Where's he at?
We're not.
They
talking about that.
They had a terrible time. Did you hear?
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrible time.
Yeah, they called me. Was trying to get me or Dad or Corn to bring them to Suburban.
Are you serious?
So they could carry on. Yeah, Dad had to win an idea for them to just get a rental car and carry on themselves. So.
Yeah, that means Dad didn't want to help.
Well, he didn't want to, but he said he would if he had to.
Where is he at?
They went fishing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
they got stuck.
Well, no, David Brooks' dad wrecked his car on the way down there. So
brand new truck.
He loves that truck too.
That was the highlight. That was what he was thankful for at Thanksgiving for the year was his truck.
Oh,
so
wow.
He loves it. Yeah, he's. I'm sure he's been out of shape about it, but hopefully the fishing trip will get him back right. So, but we've got a special guest here today, my brother Jason. Jason teaches us jiu-jitsu and does a lot of things here in the community, and so I'm excited to get to hear more of your story and yeah. So
yeah, we got bigger things to talk about than David Miller's truck. We were just talking about Sonnen versus Silva's fist fight on the Ultimate Fighter.
Well,
I can't let you get close. I can't let you get close.
I first want to talk about Corn's workout this morning. We went turkey hunting and couldn't buy a gobble this morning.
We both got disgusted.
Yeah, we
you're over it.
Corn said, "I'm gonna go down here to Sand Springs where I've been going." I said, "We could go to the gym." He said, "Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do because I need to go." And so I went down there. I prescribed him a workout. His workout was for 15 minutes, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, as high as he could go of calories on the bike and back squats. And so I said, "Look, bub,
Recipe for disaster.
If I were to do it, I'd probably do like 135 on the back squats." And Corn said, "All right." I looked over there. He was doing like 80 pounds.
I had 105 on there.
At first, he had the girls' bar with the yellow band.
Hockey.
And then he had them little metal plates. You know, what are them like? They're like 10s or something. He had a few of them on there. I said, "Good gosh."
I had 105 on there, Bob.
Well, I came in and Corn was talking to Jason. He said, Don't ever hunt. If you hunt, you're a loser. Just work out."
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm over it this year, man.
I think I'm about to put my gun in the safe.
Yeah.
I think I'm hanging it up. Yeah.
I'm going to hunt in the morning. Yeah, well, you going to hunt in the morning over there, ain't you?
No. I got work to do in the morning.
We can't keep turkeys out of our yard.
Yeah, how much land y'all got?
Well, we got 7 acres, and then our 7 acres butt up to, I think, like 200 that aren't ours. But we have...
Whose is it?
Usually people rent them out.
Oh, do they?
It used to be a friend of ours rented it, but I don't know who has it now. So when we deer hunt, we just stay on our land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You probably going to have to pony up to this mic, Bob.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. You want to keep these mics maybe about a fist length away.
I got you.
Chad will scold us when he gets back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what? What I'm thinking is, did you notice what happened when you mentioned your land and how there's turkeys on it? Yeah. Corn was all ready to hang it up. He heard that and he said, he said,
"We can't keep them out. We can't keep them out."
He said, "Well, where is it?"
We have like 15 or so that roost like right in our front yard.
Yeah, if they're a nuisance, you got to help a buddy out.
You got to put them out.
You got to help a buddy
You got
out.
that Wildlife Control Service, don't
That's
you?
right. Sure
yeah.
do. Yeah.
Humane kills.
That's right.
And I just got one of those bug assault rifles.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot salt.
Mm-hmm.
You ever play one of those?
Yeah.
My mom got me one for my birthday. So me and AJ were out last night on my front porch just busting moths to pieces.
Really?
Like, it's the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, they work good. They'll kill a fly. They're high though. They're like $50.
Salt shooters.
Yeah.
Oh, it's worth it. It's got a laser on it.
We ain't that rich yet, Jason. We'll get one of them.
And you just keep loading it up with salt.
Yeah, table salt. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one load to go a long ways, won't it?
80 shots, yeah.
Yeah. We used to have one when I worked at that fly hole of a company, TEC. You remember all the flies that used to be there? The place was terrible with flies. Well, I want to get into the conversation. I just wanted to address Corn's performance in the gym today.
It was big.
Outstanding.
He said it. He said well, my legs and hamstrings, I can't even barely stand up. He said, there's no way I could have done 135.
I ain't got now glutes, bub. So it's all hamstrings and quads.
It's hamstrings and lower back.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, have you seen your legs? It's all calves.
What? True that. True that.
It's all calves.
All calves, no hair, and no tan.
Yeah, that's right.
Pale as a ghost.
His calves are uneven. But we can get into that some other time.
Well, yeah. So, Jason, I just want to kind of get into your story. I know you've been through a lot. We've talked, about pieces of your story in the past, but I just kind of want to start at the beginning and hear, like, what your childhood was like and how you got into jiu-jitsu and then just kind of progress through it.
Well, my childhood was where I come from was kind of normal. Mm-hmm. But as I guess it's kind of sad that it's normal that, most kids grow up in, like, households that have drugs and violence, and we weren't very wealthy. It was, I don't know, it's kind of hard to talk about a lot, but me and my brother grew up in kind of a bad areas a lot of times, move around a lot as young kids. But I always knew that I wanted to be a fighter from a young age. My dad, I could see my dad being feared by other men. Mm. And so as a young man, I thought that that's what respect was. And I thought that's what a man was the level of what a man was a man who was feared by others. That's what a quality man was. It wasn't a man who was loved by other men or loved by community or did good things for people or cared about people. It was a man who walked in a room and everyone's hair on the back of their neck stood up. So from an early age, fighting was a big thing. I didn't grow up in a house where we went to church. So it was just kind of big. I remember watching the very first UFC, like in 1993 when it came on TV. When Hoist Gracie was beating everybody up.
Oh, these guys are big UFC fans.
Well, we can talk about that a lot. So, but I remember the very first one in '93. We had the cable box with the illegal chip in it, so you could watch all the free pay-per-views where you could pay your Comcast guy an extra $100 and he'd put it in there for you. So I remember watching those and being like, man, I have to do this. Like, this is what I got to do. And I was like, there's no jiu-jitsu schools around. Man, there's a ton of wrestlers in here that are beating people up. So I was like, next thing I can do is wrestle. Yeah. So the first chance I got, I started wrestling. And then I met a guy named Jeff Green while I worked at Piggly Wiggly when I was in high school.
In Lindale?
In Lindale.
I remember the pig down there.
In Lindale. And he had a school. It was Etowah Karate out on Shorter Avenue. And they did karate, judo. And judo is very similar to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's just like the sport aspects are just completely opposite. Like you spend 95% of the sport standing up doing throws and takedowns and a very small percentage on the mat. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is primarily on the mat, very small percentage on your feet. So I was like, no Jiu-Jitsu. So I'll start doing this thing. So I spent like 3 weeks of bad wrestling habits, people choking me out every day. Did a little Sambo. And I really got really lucky meeting a guy named Jesse May who trained me for a really long time. And he got third in the World Cup in Sambo. And Sambo is like a mixture of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and MMA. Huh. They allow you to headbutt each other. Like Khabib was a world champion in Sambo. Huh. Fedor Emelianenko was a world champion in Sambo. But they're like the Russian form of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They teach it through the military over there. So I kind of got to train under him in his garage for a really long time. So
that's back before it was cool, right? What years would that have been?
So I started grappling in 1999.
Okay.
So I've been training for 26 years now. So I started training Sambo in 99. I started wrestling in 2000. And started doing judo 2001. But I trained with Jesse this entire time. Jesse's one of these guys who's a little particular about who he trains with. So we didn't really ever have a lot of training partners. The guy that trained him, Tony Lopez, ended up leaving and going and doing hand-to-hand combat and stuff for Department of Defense and working with the Secret Service.
Okay.
So he taught at Darlington. He was a Spanish teacher for a little while. He's in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, which is weird that he just happened to be in our hometown.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm with Jesse for a long time, and then I started working at the sheriff's office. The guy that owned the judo school was a captain at the police department, and so I was just competing in jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling. I made on the Georgia team, so I was traveling around competing a lot. Turned 19, and I lose my job at a vending machine warehouse, and John's like, you want to get a job where you can get in fights and not get in trouble? I was like, who don't want to do that? So he's like, next week, I start working at the jail.
Dang.
Yeah, so I started working at the sheriff's office. So much different back then than it is now. So I worked at the sheriff's office for 6 years, but while I was working there, I started fighting, like cage fighting, so MMA. But I started teaching jiu-jitsu, no-gi jiu-jitsu at an MMA school with no like inkling that I was going to actually have a fight. Just Jesse was teaching there. He's like, gives me a call. He's like, Jason, come by. And just come by and train with me. So I come by, and really he's about to hit the flight like he always does. He'll be around for 3 or 4 months, and then he kind of drifts off, and then he'll come back, drifts off. Well, I start teaching, and then there's a random call that comes in. There's a fight at the Forum. You know, we used to have those here all the time. So my first fight was here in our hometown, and 3 days notice.
Dang.
They're like, hey, you got a guy who's around 140, and we had a guy fall off the card. We got to have so many fights on the card, or the card gets canceled. And I was like, I'll do it. You know, got to do it at least once. I've been wanting to do it my whole life. Well, I took the fight, weighed 135.
Okay.
So super small. Took the fight. The guy that I fought was 3-0, 3 first-round KOs. Was a 2-time Golden Gloves champ. I never even put boxing gloves on in my whole life until 3 days before my first cage fight. This dude beat me up so bad. I think he probably hit me over 300 times in my face in 7 minutes, and I punched him twice.
Wow.
And one was an illegal punch. But he couldn't stop me from taking him down. I took him down 8 times the first round. The second round, I ended up submitting him with a flying armbar in the 3rd round. But I just couldn't get my nerves set, you know.
I bet.
It was like almost 2,000 people, my hometown, you know, like wasn't training for it. So it was like I had a bunch of cardio for fighting, because it's kind of the aspect of being in front of that many people drains you too.
Yeah, you burn a lot on that first, like when you get in there, right? Your adrenaline's pumping.
I was not scared for winning or losing, but I was scared to get chicken legged in front of my hometown and be like, I don't want to walk down the street and people be like, hey, aren't you that guy?
Yeah.
That looked like an idiot. So like, especially like you spend your whole life talking about like, this is what I'm gonna do when I grow up. So like.
But you ended up winning the fight.
Oh yeah, I won a lot of fights. Like when I stopped fighting, I was 14-1. When I stopped fighting, I lost my very last fight. It's the only fight I ever lost, and but I did win the fight. I didn't feel like I won it the next day.
Yeah.
Like, he beat me up so bad that I had muscle fibers ripped off my collarbone from my head snapping so hard.
Dang.
But you don't feel it. Like your adrenaline's going so high.
Yeah.
But I can remember like the ref like continuously asking me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know why he's asking me." When you go back and watch it, you can see like I look like the little girl from The Exorcist. Like my head's spinning all the way, like my head's hitting the middle of my back when he's punching me. Like he was hitting me so hard. But it was an experience. And it wasn't even the fight. It was after the fight that I really liked. It was like growing up in a household where you're not important, and growing up where you can never do anything right, being talked to terribly your entire life, being treated so bad, and then all of a sudden you're somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and then getting out of the cage and having people come up to you and like want your autograph and want to take pictures with you. And that bit me. That bit me bad.
Yeah.
And
so your dad, he kind of spurred the respect he had. Was that because of fighting too? Was he just a brawler? He's
just a roughneck.
Okay.
He's just a roughneck. He grew up really rough. He had a really rough childhood, broken home. One boy, I think, with all his half sisters, he might have 6 or 7 half sisters. One full blooded sister, but grew up in inner city. Me and my brother started inner city, then ended up moving out into the country as we got older. But he grew up, got hit by a car, went at 8 years old, played in front of the YMCA. Wow. So like that kind of like, just running around town. But I mean, back in those times, you could run around town whenever you wanted. But in and out of jail, didn't graduate high school. The standard road that leads you toward this, and then you grow up in those households. You're expected to fall in line, and you're kind of told from an early age that you can't do anything different than this. And not even sometimes by your parents, and sometimes it's very subtle, because I feel like in my experience as a coach, I'm around tons of kids, and you can see parents telling their kids without telling them.
Yeah.
Because you can see parents living through their kids vicariously.
Yeah.
Because they can never succeed. And then their kids start being successful, and then they're really pushing them, which burns their light out really fast. Yeah. But you're living in this, but the kids that show up to school with their shoes torn up and falling apart, and when I was growing up with the Kmart clothes, we don't got Kmart no more. The Kmart clothes next to the kids who are showing up with JCPenney clothes, like the teachers generally treat them a little different.
Yeah.
They don't get as much time. So you're kind of stuck with these generational curses.
Yeah.
And it's hard to break those.
Yeah, for sure.
Hard to break those. So I thought, even though I graduated high school, I went to college a little bit, but I dropped out. So I thought the only way that I was going to break this was through fighting. Like, I got that first bite, and I was like, I've always been good at fighting, but I was always fighting. Like, I grew up fighting from an early age, but it was guys that didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. That first time I was in a ring with the door clanking and locking behind you, and you're standing across from someone who's, every time you get in there, the other guy looks scary. Yeah. And you know that this is what they do. Like, they're in a gym 40 to more hours a week training to fight people who train to fight. They're not guys at the local bar that are drunk. Like, those are kids. Those are grown kids. So this is different. So like, once you when you best another person in an individual sport, like, it's different. It's different than team sport victories. Yeah. And I felt like this is my only way that I'm ever going to be able to be me and be able to make it out. But I didn't know, like, it wasn't until recently, like in the last 2.5 years, that I become a believer. So, like, that fame just led me to doing things that I've seen my whole life. Yeah. Like, I drank a whole lot. Underage. I was underage. I was even in law enforcement. I just didn't leave my house. And then when I left being law enforcement, I still fought. And then I lived a life where I did drugs, ran around doing all the things that I've seen throughout my entire life. It spent times where I'd lose my house. I was sleeping on friend's couch, in this car.
Kind of fell into who your dad was, almost, in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, probably till I was 30. And the one thing that I would tell people that I was always so afraid of is that I would turn out to be like my dad. And then one day I was like, that is who I am. It is who I am.
When did you have that realization?
Man, probably my late 20s. My late 20s.
What was that like? Like, tell me about that of realizing that.
It was hard. It was hard. It was super depressing. I actually left jiu-jitsu for a little while, found my first wife, and one got a job, got married, and started trying to have a family. I was like, I got to do the opposite of what I've always seen. I've always wanted a nucleus family because I didn't really have that. Like, my mom and dad were married, but they split up a lot when I was little. They were together, but my dad was an addict. Like, he didn't have like a little problem, but he was an addict. And then I was kicked out when I was 15. So
really,
my parents split up and divorced a little after that. So my brother lived through that and there. So
he's younger, so
yeah,
he was still at the house.
He's 4 years younger than me.
So they kicked you out at 15? Like,
Not my mom.
Okay.
My dad did during prime addiction. So early childhood, little marijuana, a lot of alcohol. As I get into high school, meth. Meth takes over, which it does in lots of rural communities.
Yeah.
But that was it, and it was
for you.
No,
or for him.
For him.
Okay.
For him. I've never done meth. It's probably one of the drugs that I was like I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because that's what I related.
So your dad.
That's what I related to my dad. Yeah, I related it to him, and I related to a lot of family members that I had too. But I didn't relate alcohol for some reason.
Isn't that strange how alcohol is viewed differently than?
Well, it's super strange too because I have really bad social anxiety, so I don't like being around a lot of people, and it makes me really weird. And the first time I touched alcohol, I was like, "Oh, that goes away," and then it was a crutch for me. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm just a social drinker." Yeah. I just drink on the weekends or drink when I'm around people, and then it turned into that, and then it was like, "Oh, well, I'm very social." Now I'm social. I'm social 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then that's an issue too. And then that kind of social stuff leads into the other social stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just one thing after another.
So you got married. You saw yourself becoming who. You had that realization, like, oh crap, I'm kind of starting to look like my dad, so I've got to get on a different track.
It was really hard because like I found myself to being a party favor. Like everyone that I considered a friend in my life wasn't really a friend. They were buddies. That was a hard thing for me to figure out, like knowing what a friend is and what a buddy is. I feel like you don't really get many friends in your life.
Yeah.
You get tons of buddies, tons of acquaintances. And buddies and acquaintances, they'll be around you when it's beneficial for them. Friends will be around you no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't think up until my late 20s, I realized that and realized I'd never really had but maybe one friend. And everyone that was around me was like, because of the skills I've developed throughout my life and the attention that I brought, I was this party favor. And these buddies that I had, they were fun to be around, but I was more of an attention thing. So they would invite me out, let me go do things with them. They would even pay for me to do things. And I'm like, oh, these people care about me. I was like, I would go to jail for some of these guys, and I would do things that would have deserved to have gone to jail for. But they would have never done the things for me. So I was finding out that, like, realizing slowly, like, man, every time we go out, like, I'm getting in fist fights. Like it was a point where I moved to Cartersville to teach at this jiu-jitsu school full time, and I was there after living in there for like 6 months. I was banned from 4 or 5 different bars. They had my picture up, and yeah, it's bad too because it's like. It wasn't until I started to mature, like it's not fair. It's not fair for someone who's a trained individual to go out and start fist fighting drunk people.
Yeah.
And so it's really not fair if you can't control yourself to drink alcohol in the first place. Yeah. So if I couldn't control myself for me to be out in those kind of situations, I know I can't be around a lot of drunk people because they irritate me.
Yeah.
So I don't drink at all anymore. Not because of that reason, because of probably what we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah.
But like I was going out and these guys were having me go out and starting problems because they knew I could solve them for them.
Yeah. They just wanted
And they
you
thought
there.
it was
Yeah.
funny. They thought it was funny.
Dude, I'd laugh a little bit whenever you said you had your picture in 4 bars because I get why you could fall into that. Because in some ways it's like, that's crazy, but in other ways it's like, you're like a legend. You know what I mean? You're like, they've got me around town. They got my face because of how bad of a dude I mean, I get it. Like, that is a tough thing to try to resist falling into.
Did you feel like you had gained that respect
Yes.
of being feared?
Right.
Like,
I mean, you had it.
Yeah, I'll have like this. Well, I have this nickname, and my nickname's Poppy. A lot of people know me. That I've had people that have known me for, maybe 15 years, and they don't know my real name. they know, like, people probably don't know.
Yeah.
Know your real name. They know you as Chili. They know you as Cornbread. And they've known me as Poppy since I've been 18 years old, and those people are generally the people that have treated me that way because they met me, and I felt for a long time like that was kind of, it almost become like an alter ego for me.
Yeah.
You feel that? And it's like when those people were around me, it felt like I had to play a part, and it's not who I was because I'm generally a nice guy, and I don't like hurting people. Like, the fighting part was purely, I love competition.
Yeah.
And I really love competition when it's one-on-one, because when I win, I like to know that I worked hard enough and I endured enough pre-fight or pre-competition that I could win. And I like to know when I fail, it's not because you did really well, it's because I did very poorly in my preparation. Yep. And I can't blame anyone else. I can't blame someone else for dropping the ball.
Yeah.
But it's very hard. I felt like this personality took over, but that personality is the personality my entire life that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I had to be a man. Like, it felt like as I was growing up, like, that person, that guy who was Poppy is the person that I had to be for my dad to think that I was a man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was very hard for me.
You can probably relate to some of that, like with your policing stuff, right? I mean,
yeah. That alter ego thing hits me hard when I was drinking. Like I said before, I was either Batman when I was policing, but I wasn't drunk while I was policing. But when I was off, and then when I wasn't, I was working construction. I was every Hank Jr. song there ever was.
Yes.
You know what? So yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. So you get to this point. Are you married at this point that you're going out and doing this, and people are kind of?
Yeah. So when I meet my wife, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that the type of women that I would probably attract would probably be not the best,
Mm-hmm.
or the type of people that I'm attracting to me would probably not be the best. But at the time, my ex-wife, who's passed away now, she was sober at the time, and so we meet. We start dating.
Pull that mic over just a little bit. There you go. Yeah.
We meet, we start dating, and then we eventually, maybe a year and a half later, we get married. It probably takes living like, I would say, normal people. Like, we have friends, we go out with our friends and drink. We have bonfires at our house, invite people over and drink. Like, there's never a time that I'm opening a beer at dinner or we're drinking alone. But there's one day she goes to pick my daughter up from school, and she doesn't pick her up because she gets arrested for a DUI. And she has a good job, too. Like, she's a medical sales rep at the time, so she's making good money. So, and I'm, like, lost. Like, I go to pick her car up from the impound, find, like, 50, 60 empty liquor bottles.
Dang.
Hidden in the back where the jack is in the back of this Yukon. So there's this problem. So we're talking about it. I'm trying to be what I think a good husband is. good times, bad times, you're supportive. You work through these things. Only problem is living as on my own morals. You know, I'm just supportive and doing these things all on my own, which doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So we battle her alcoholism for probably about 4 years, maybe. I think we do 5 rehabs.
And this is something that came up after she met you, this alcohol.
Well, she was a former addict before
Okay.
I met her, but I think she had. I don't know for a fact. I think she was clean maybe 4 or 5 years. I didn't know her during that time.
Okay.
But she didn't have any problems that I knew of when we met.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When I met.
Okay.
She might have drank a little bit with friends.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was in college and working, and she graduated college while we dated, started working. So
Yeah.
she was in the life that I lived. She was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
She did better than me. Like I was making like
Compared to where you had came from and what.
Oh, dude, I was making $180 a week teaching jiu-jitsu and working in a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
So the life that I was living wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I made enough money to put some money here, keep my cell phone only being turned off 1 week a month, and enough money to go out every weekend and drink with my buddies.
Yeah.
So I was living the dream.
Yeah.
And then, so we get married, and then about maybe 3 years in, the DUI happens, and then it's like I never even seen it coming. Full blown alcoholic. It comes to a point where like I'm miserable. Like I'm not drinking anymore because how can I expect her to stop drinking if I'm drinking?
Yeah.
And then I start alienating the people around us because they drink socially. So I'm like, well, we're not going to go around them because I can't expect them to stop doing what they do.
Yeah.
So we'll just stay home. But then stuff starts happening where the kids get put in danger. Like where she's driving the car intoxicated and hitting mailboxes.
Man.
So eventually we separate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we separate for a while when we divorce. And then she ends up overdosing and dying. So alcohol, drugs.
Man.
And that's a hard talk to give to a 5-year-old and a 16-year-old. Because at the time I had custody of her biological daughter and our daughter we had together.
Yeah.
So that's
So
a
how-
hard talk at 6 a.m. before school.
Yeah. I mean, how long was that process of like, okay, this is a problem. I have to stop drinking and push these people away and let's try to fix this. How long did that?
Once the problem started, I stopped drinking. Once there was like, she gets a DUI, we're not drinking. No more alcohol in our house. There's an issue.
Yeah.
But she never once told me from the time she got a DUI to the time she passed away that she had a problem.
So it was once the problem was out. It wasn't once it started. Once you
I didn't
found
know
out
when
that,
it started.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
right,
I never
yeah.
seen it. I never
Right.
seen it. So I worked a lot. So some of that issue might have been mine. So I worked at the time. I just opened my gym. So I worked third shift at Toyo Tires. So I worked 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I left at 5:30 to go to work. So I worked all night. I drove from the work to my gym. I would take a nap on the mats at my gym. I would teach morning class Monday through Sunday, and then teach 2 nights a week.
Man.
The gym just opened. Like I have to get the business off the ground, you know? Like you have to.
Was this your gym or this what you were working
This is
for
Scramble.
somebody?
This
Oh,
is
really?
Scramble. Yeah, it was when Scramble was. So Scramble's my gym. And, me and Colby's gym now, but in the beginning there was 5 owners. Now
Okay.
there's 2. But in the beginning, so we've only been open. So this August, I think, makes 6 years.
Okay.
6 years we've been open. So this is 2019. Yeah, 2019. Like August 2019.
Uh-huh.
So I'm working Toyo at night, 7 days. I'm teaching 7 days a week, every single morning. And then I teach my off days. I teach at nighttime those days too. And then Riley is born after that.
Okay.
So then I'm taking the baby. I come home, pick the baby up, take the baby with me to the gym.
Because of this issue.
Yeah. Well, she has a job. She has a job.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I'm watching the baby, and then I picked up a roofing job when she lost her job at work for being intoxicated at work.
Mm-hmm.
So then I picked up a roofing job. It's like, well, maybe you can't be at work being around these people. You stay at home for a little while, focus on yourself. So now I got 3 jobs. So baby, Toyo, gym, and I'd get to the gym in the morning, and then my friend Rob West on Three Rivers Roofing would pick me up from the gym because I would shower there, and I would ride with him, and I would go do inspections.
Huh.
And then he would drop me off. I would take an hour nap, go to work, sleep on my lunch break at work, and then work throughout the night. So I was just trying to be like as supportive as I knew how to be supportive, and be like,
yeah, without having a role model or somebody there to model that, right?
No. It was. I didn't know what to do without, like, I didn't want to just be like, oh, well, it's hard, we'll leave. I was like, well, I always had this problem where, like, I felt like I had this gift where people could throw as much on my back as they wanted, and I was so gifted at being able to burden as much weight and always being able to, I might not be able to pick my feet up, but I could shuffle them and keep moving no matter how much weight and other people's problems that I put on my back. And it was like a thing that I really cherished that.
You took pride in it.
I took pride in it, which is terrible. It's
Well,
terrible.
I mean, well,
pride's terrible, which I just learned, so I was always trying to help people. Like, I'd be like, oh, well, this is going on. Well, let me spend some extra time here helping you. Well, what can I do? Well, I'll come by and help you do this, and I'll come by and help you do this. Well,
But you didn't have anyone pouring back into you.
Well, I wouldn't let people.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times I wouldn't let people. I was very shut in. I grew up in the culture of men don't talk about what they got going on.
Yeah.
So it was I'll do this for you, and I'll keep this bottled up. But I also felt like, well, it doesn't matter what I have. I'm going to help others, and I'll just take my stuff, throw it on the top, because for whatever reason, I can shuffle my feet. And I can do this tomorrow, and I can do it the next day.
Yeah.
I can do it the next day. And then when I turned 34, I had a stroke.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So one of, I think, 5 in 6 months.
Wow.
So, which comes to, like I told you before, like I got diagnosed with like mild forms of brain damage from tons of terrible old school training, being thrown on my head, I spent probably like 10 years training, being under 140 pounds, training with guys the size of cornbread. And you're like, oh, this guy's a professional fighter, so he's only 140 pounds. I'm 240, but if I can beat him up, it makes me a good fighter. Yeah. Well, it doesn't work. There's weight classes for a reason. It doesn't matter how good people are, you know? So, I developed this thing called hemiplegic migraines, and it's a super rare condition. And I'll get a migraine so bad that my blood vessels pinch shut in my brain, and my brain thinks I have a blood clot.
Dang.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, I get all the symptoms. So I have to take medicine now. So I take medicine, a pill in the morning every day, probably till the candles burn out. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And that's still.
I still take that medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I miss, I don't have the best memory. So if I miss a couple of days, I'll get one. Yeah.
What do they attribute the strokes to?
So you can't be diagnosed with CTE until after you pass away, and they do like autopsies.
Okay.
So I saw a couple of neurologists here in town, and they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out why. So they're like, you're 34, you're in great shape, you're extremely active. We can't figure it out. So they sent me to a specialty team of 5 doctors at Emory Hospital. And I went and seen a few visits with them, and the probability of me having CTE is pretty high. But it's probably from being head kicked
Yeah.
without gear on, no headgear, no shin guards. I mean, back when I used to train, we would knee each other in the face with no knee pads. And like I said, like I fought bantamweight, which is 135. And when I first started fighting, I didn't cut weight. And like the smallest guy in my training gym, besides my little brother, was 200 pounds. So I mean, my original coach, 6'4" and 240. So I mean, like, and I mean he didn't. I would assume he didn't hit me as hard as he can, but like we sparred.
Yeah.
Like we sparred, and then I would travel, and even after I left his gym, I would travel to other gyms just to fight. You know, like because I was not good at striking, so like I would go to smokers, which are like unsanctioned fights inside gyms, almost every Friday to get mat time. Like I would show up to boxing gyms, and they'd be like, how much you weigh, Poppy? I'm like, 140. And they're like, all right, we got a 170, 190, 195. And I'm like, give me two rounds in between each. And I would do 3 matches in a night.
Man.
Or I'd go and do kickboxing matches and
That
MMA fights.
doesn't lend itself to much longevity, really.
No, but back in the early 2000s, people don't know stuff like that.
Right.
And then when you don't have like a real good team around you, like feeding you information. So like, I'll get guys that box now, and when I work with them, like we don't do very much hard sparring. Like everything should be like situational training. Like when y'all do like combat stuff, everything. Me and Chad had a long talk about this when y'all come and did jiu-jitsu. Like situational.
James said your mic ain't picking up too good.
Situational training is huge. It's huge. Like as far as like response time and keeping yourself safe too. As far as like not causing too much trauma on yourself, but building the right responses in the right situations. Because you could be, let's take jiu-jitsu for example. Blake could be way better than me, and if he goes as hard as he can, and I'm new, all I'm gonna know is, at the end of the day, Blake's way better than me.
Yeah.
But I might not ever see any positions, especially positions that we train that day. But if the coach forces us to start and stop in certain positions, I'll be able to figure them out, get to think and strategize and work through those things. And it's the same thing. Like if you're clearing a room, you clear rooms, you clear closets, you clear a trunk, you clear a cart, and they're all done different ways.
Yeah.
And you have to do those situations. You work through. I mean, you have to. You just have to do that to build muscle memory, to build your ability to lower duress in certain situations. So
yeah. Well, I want to go back to just living in, when you were married with the kids, because I think a lot of people can, and maybe even people listening can find themselves and probably even are in those situations. I have never dealt with addiction or living with somebody. I've known people close to me that have been addicted, but I also have kids and know how hard it is to parent kids when nobody's addicted and everybody's healthy and everything's going good, and it's still like, this is a challenge, like to do it right and to do a good job. So I can't imagine dealing with this. The marriage, right, is broken at that point. Like you guys aren't on good terms, and the kids are seeing that. So like, what was that like, and how did you, like, obviously you started taking Riley with you to maybe get her out of that situation, but talk to me about that.
Well, at first there were 2 girls.
Okay.
Serenity and Riley. So Serenity was my stepdaughter.
Okay.
And so both of them came with me to begin with.
Okay.
The court gave me 100% custody of Riley, and Serenity just came with me, and Sheena didn't fight it. She didn't fight it. So so there were times where she was very good at deceiving me about how well she was doing.
Just hiding it.
She's very good at masking, probably over years of being able to do it. So there'd be times that I would be like, all right, well, you all can go the weekend. Well, here's my 4-year-old gets it. I buy her a 4-year-old a tablet, which I don't think a 4-year-old should have a tablet. But she got one because it has GPS, and I can call her in FaceTimer, and I can see what's going on in the background, and I can see what's going, so I can keep tabs.
Man, that's tough.
It's very tough. It's very scary. It's very scary. But like the situation at home is stressful. Man, it's so hard. To be honest, it's hard thinking about it now, but at the time for me, I don't feel like it was that odd because it felt
You're used to it.
It felt the same as my childhood.
Yeah.
Like there was lots of yelling, lots of cussing. There was food on the table. The lights were turned on.
Yeah.
We had a place to live.
Yeah.
The only difference is I felt like I played my mother's role a lot. Like men are not meant to be mothers, and mothers are not meant to be fathers.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying I know single parents get real defensive, and I was for a couple years a single father, and I did my best to be mom and dad, but you can't do it, and
Yeah.
it's super stressful. We need each other. We
Yeah.
need each other. So it was super hard. It was super hard trying to play both roles, and it stresses you out. And the kid misses out on so much.
Yeah.
They miss out on so much. Like you can't nurture the way a healthy woman can nurture.
Yeah.
We're not designed to do that, but we're also not raised that way either.
Mm-hmm.
We're not raised that way. Even men that are nurturing.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us are more nurturing than others.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it in the gym. Like I'm not generally that type. Like the kids look at me and like I have like I grew up in an area where you kind of have to give off this demeanor that you're not a victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of stuck with me. My pastor makes fun of me for it. Yeah, that's why I say I thought it was weird when he put me as the guest welcomer. I'm like, you're gonna scare people off. I was like, you don't want people like. He's like, I want guys that look like you inside the church. I was like, well, that makes sense. There's only me.
Yeah.
There's only me. I think there's 3 of us now. You know? But it was very familiar to me, which is weird because it's like it's sad. It's sad because I don't want that for my kids. That's why I always wanted I wanted a family. I wanted to leave it the Beaver, you know?
Yeah.
Like what you saw on television. But I also thought like that's just what people have on TV. I come to accept.
Yeah, like that was not attainable for me, right?
I didn't
That's
think
what
it was
you're-
obtainable for anybody. I
Yeah.
thought it was fake. Like when I was growing up, I thought that like a mom and a dad getting along, laughing, sitting at the dinner table, everyone gets in some arguments. That's normal.
Yeah.
Because we're different people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But getting along, laughing, caring about each other, living in the same house, caring about the kids, playing with the kids, going to sporting events
Yeah.
with the kids and supporting them. I just thought that was something that was on television. I didn't think it was real.
It's so far removed from
so
what
far
you were.
removed. So when this starts happening in my house, I'm like, oh, I just try to trick myself.
Yeah.
I set a standard that was unattainable,
Yeah.
which is really weird which is one of the reasons, which is the main thing that led me to Christ later on, is that it is obtainable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just only people that know love can show love.
Yeah.
So if you're around people that have never experienced real love, they can't give it.
Yeah.
They can't give it.
Yeah, it's I think, what anybody could take from this, whether they are dealing with addiction or not, is that what you grow up in is not all there is. Because I mean, even I would think that we had, our house was not bad growing up, but like I would have never thought as a kid that I would be doing what I'm doing today. Like as a kid, I would think, it'll be great if I can get a job and maybe be like a manager and, have a couple kids, but never would I have ever thought, and is no hit on my parents or anybody. It's just what I grew up in, but nobody was telling me, hey, there's more out there for you. You can do other things than what everyone else is doing around you. And I think that everybody kind of gets sucked into that. So there's two things. One, we should be that person for those kids like you are at the gym, man. I mean, you set all the things you say, you show up as not that, the way you grew up, you show up as the man that you realize and how things should go now for those kids. And you're the one telling them, hey, it doesn't have to be this way. Like you don't have to, you don't have to sandbag in here. Like you can do more than that. And they're, those kids aren't at the age yet to tell them who they're going to become, but you're setting that example. And also for us to know.
I get to do that for the adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are adults that are older
That's
than
a
me.
good point.
It's weird that I've been in a coaching role since I was a kid. So since I was 16 is when I started coaching, and I just turned 39. So it's weird to coach people older than you for a while. It's kind of odd because you have a level of respect for people older than you
for age,
but especially like giving life advice to people that have had more life than you.
Yeah,
and but then there's different types of life.
Right. Yeah. Years on Earth doesn't equate. They aren't
to
equal,
experience.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
To experience, but like giving that, hey man, like having a father and sons in the same room.
Yeah.
And then having the father not do something because it's hard.
Yeah.
Like having to sit him down and have a talk with him that he's setting examples for his kids to give up on things because they're hard.
Yeah.
And that's a joke.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of men that don't like to have that conversation.
Right.
Because it's hard. It's hard to bite down on that. Like, bro, you're not making it easy on you. You're making it hard on the next generation.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you're not making it easier on your kids by giving them nicer things than you had. Because that's what I thought when I first started having kids. That does not make it easier on them.
Right.
For me, it feels like you're kind of handicapping them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because life's so easy now, they expect it to always be easy.
Yep.
Expect it to always be easy. Like, you have to push them to do the hard things and kind of run toward the hard things and try to accomplish them.
Yeah, everybody has to be coached differently. Some people have to be told, you can do more. Like you can push harder, and some people have to be told, you are not everything and, everything there is. Like, you're not really doing as good as you think you're doing, So there's all different types of people. But so I want to kind of start to get into where you're at now and your faith and how you came to that, because that's been all of this really in light of your lifetime is pretty recent, right? Like, I mean, just even...
Yeah, so I came to faith probably about 2.5 years ago.
And then your ex or your wife at the time had passed, and so...
Just maybe 4 months prior. 3 months prior.
So that's been, 2.5, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's about 2.5. It's a little over 2.5. Yeah.
Okay. And so after that happens, what happens from that point? So she passes on, and
so we've been split up for about 2 years.
Okay.
Divorced. So we still communicate like co-parents do. She has been reached through a ministry, Hope for Hearts. It's a great ministry that works with single moms. Mm-hmm. She has, I guess, I don't know if they're called sponsors or the person that's assigned to her.
Yeah.
Spends a lot of time with her, brings her to her house, brought her to church. The kids have went to church. Never before. Never before. We've never talked about church in the 10 years we knew each other. They go, she shows me pictures of this lady, their kids. The oldest son at the time is a Christian rapper. So they go to his concert. And I never met him, but I've seen pictures and heard a ton. The kids talked to me about him when they came back to my house. Well, Sheena's stepdad passes away. He had cancer. He passes away. That's the first time I met Annie. Is at his funeral, very briefly, and then less than 2 weeks later, Sheena overdoses. So she overdosed.
Think that was because of her? Do you think her stepdad or
She was close. She was close to him, but I don't think that was the reason. I think it was the people that was around her, the situation she was in. Just like she wasn't healthy. I mean, she had not gotten any better.
Okay.
She had not gotten any better.
Yeah.
I think she was in a terrible relationship, and it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
I think everything in her, it was just a
storm.
Perfect storm. Perfect storm.
So during this time, you had completely quit drinking when she got the DUI, and you didn't drink no more.
Yeah. So once we split up completely, I would socially have one or two beers once we split up. When we were together, I wouldn't drink at all. So I would have one or two beers after we didn't live in the household. But it was very rare because my youngest daughter, Riley, has PTSD from alcohol. Yeah. So I don't pick up I won't hold a beer bottle for someone else around her. Like she kind of freaks out if she knows that me and Andy are going somewhere where people are drinking.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, "You're not gonna drink." You're not drinking, are you?
She's such a good kid.
Yeah. She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Yeah, like she's been through a lot. So that's one of the reasons I don't drink.
Right.
The other reason is there's nothing good come from it.
Yeah.
There's nothing good come from it. But the other reason is her face. Like her face.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. Sheena passes away. Sheena's memorial service is the first time I really spoke to Annie. Mm. And she comes up, is talking to me like every other person, condolences, talking about the kids. But the kids are talking to her a lot, and then she comes and asks me if they can go to church with her. And I'm not going to say no. I did not believe in God. I believe there was something. Doesn't make sense for there not to be anything.
Yeah.
But I did believe that if people followed Christian Judeo values, that the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
Like I was like, even if they go and there's no Jesus, and they follow those morals, they're going to be great people.
Yeah.
So it can't hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, yeah, they can go. You can come pick them up on Sunday. You can take them. Well, that entire week, she's like, messaged me, ask me how the kids are doing, ask me this, ask me that. And she's just talking to me. And for whatever reason, she has a gift. She has a gift from God where she can speak to people and let them open up to her. And,
for sure. I noticed that at the gym,
it's weird.
When I called, I remember calling the gym and I was like, hey, we want to come let the girls try jiu-jitsu. How does that work? And she told me, and then she was like, where y'all from? And she was telling me, well, we could just come down from Chicago. And I was thinking, this is a really weird conversation to have. Like, I'm just checking on the gym, and then we get there and then she's talking to me and talking to everybody else. And I'm thinking I know she does it, but it's almost as if like she's being really nice because she wants me to be a member of the gym or whatever. But then you find later on, like, that's just how she was talking to everybody.
Just
I don't know how she has the energy to do that.
Dude, and she gets up at like 5:30 and doesn't go to bed till 2 a.m.
Really?
Yeah. And she she runs her own business. Pretty much runs mine too. But she runs her business from 5 in the morning till 2.
What is her business?
She's a financial advisor. She does investments.
Huh.
She does retirement. And she's extremely good at it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's been doing it, man, I think over 20 years.
Wow.
If it wasn't for her business, I wouldn't be able to teach jiu-jitsu full time because I don't make very much money.
Yeah.
Because of her, jiu-jitsu is a ministry to me.
Yeah.
It is like I tell people this all the time. It's like if it wasn't for grappling sports, me and my brother would have went to prison.
Yeah.
That was the road we were on. we were going to be tough guys because that's what men were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for grappling, like, it gave us a reason to pass our classes so we didn't get kicked off a wrestling team. Like this, I mean, that's what we loved.
Yeah.
We loved that. And if I can move people in ways, like I have so many veterans that train with us, they're like, this helps me.
Yeah.
Like the camaraderie and brotherhood that you lose when you're out of the service.
Yeah.
And that you lose when you get out of sports in school. Like, there's nothing better to have, as weird as it sounds sometimes, to have another man tell you good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or to tell you need to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Or to ask you to like come do something with, like,
Yeah.
hey, what are you doing this weekend? Like,
Right.
and you don't get that after you're out of school.
Yeah.
Like, you get out of school, you have your family, you have a job,
Yeah.
and it gets kind of depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of depressing. So like it helps these kids so much, and on top of that, I get to show people love in a way that I never got to be showed that when I was coming up. So
she comes up and asked you, can I take him to church? You say,
Yeah, I feel like she okey doked me.
Yeah.
She keeps saying she didn't. So Sunday morning rolls around. She's like, hey, I'm running late. Come to find out, she's always running late. So that is a real thing. She's late to everything. But so she's like, will you bring her to church and drop her off? I was like, yes, I will. So I already told her, already got them dressed. I drive. I'm sitting in the parking lot, sweating because I'm uncomfortable. And she's like, hey, will you bring her inside the church? And I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. So once I get inside, she meets us. She's like, well, you're already in here. Why don't you just stay? I was like, oh, okay, I'll stay. So I stay this service, and the old pastor, the original pastor, is preaching. And I did not enjoy the service. Not the sermon. I just did not enjoy being there. I was very uncomfortable. I felt out of place. I felt like I didn't belong. I probably went to that church for 6 months before I wore anything other than a long sleeve shirt.
Really?
Yeah, because I just had I feel like people that don't go to church feel like you can't have tattoos and go to church. Like, you have to be covered up. And the few times I went as a child, that's how it was.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, you wore suits on Sunday.
Yeah.
So at the end of the service, she introduced me to a bunch of other men. The pastor, Chris Hayes, who was a great pastor, he come and talked to me a lot that day. And then a couple men that I knew already.
Mm.
And then she talked me into coming the next Sunday. That next Sunday I came, Pastor Chris' sermon. I listened to it, and I felt like I was the only person in the room that day. Like it felt like the sermon was written for me. I felt like the whole conversation me and him had the Sunday before, like he wrote the sermon off our conversation. And I was like, man, like after that sermon, I was like, I can't be anywhere but this place. Like I haven't not been to church since those two Sundays.
Really?
It might not have been our church.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have not missed church since then.
Wow.
So I was saved and baptized as a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
So probably up to like 8 years old, my mom would take us to church. My dad was never Christian. He was a pronounced atheist, you know. And then it was until the age of where we could decide. When we could get made fun of when we came home from church for being sissies for going to church. Then we didn't have to go anymore. But I wasn't saved, and I was baptized because everybody else was baptized.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
They weren't real things.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what being saved was.
You did it kind of as a formality of...
Oh, yeah, just because the other kids around me were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I see that now with adults.
Yeah.
Like, people that have been in church. Like, I pay attention. I people watch a lot.
Yeah.
And, like, I see people that have, man, they've been in church for 50 years.
Yeah.
And they're, like, renewing themselves. Mm-hmm. And you're like, man, I think, like, people don't really understand what they bowing your head and saying a prayer is not surrendering.
Right.
Like, and that surrendering part, people kind of skip over that part.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for them to understand there's that surrendering is something you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, dying to yourself, right?
Like man, what's being sold to you sounds kind of good.
Yeah. Well, we talked about a lot of that on Monday meeting, right? With the parable of the sower or the soils, to where one seed takes a little bit of root and springs up, but it has no depth, right?
Yeah.
And it burns out. And that, I mean, those people being sold something really good.
Oh, sounds great.
And then it burns out.
Yeah, I find in the last 2.5 years, because I have an addictive personality myself, so I hate not knowing things.
Yeah.
So like as soon as I get into something, I get into it. Like I start studying a lot, I read a lot, I listen a lot. So like when you see like people get brought to faith through emotional pulls, I don't think this is really an emotional kind of thing. This is a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I can be like, well, I feel bad.
And you realize that in that service when you felt...
I realized it over the next 3 months
of
me reading. Like I'm listening. I start listening to Robbie Gallaty. It's the pastor. I follow him a lot. I'm reading books. And I was telling you, he's the guy that Platt discipled. Yeah. And I'm listening to his podcast. One of my students who is a PK turned me on to him, and I started listening to him. And then I started listening to another guy, and I'm just reading all this stuff online, and like they're saying, and like Robbie grew up Catholic, and then now he's a Protestant, so it's like he talks about like, well, this is what I was taught, this is what the Bible says, and it's so hard to like distinguish from what someone's from a pulpit is telling you to what you should be reading.
Yeah.
So like I start spending so much time trying to learn how to read the Bible instead of trying to develop my own theology off what I'm being told.
Yeah.
So like, but like that whole like, I have to surrender myself and not like, it's not the get out of jail free card in Monopoly.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it, like salvation that's what a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people,
Yeah.
I feel like,
I feel
like the invitation is given that way.
It's sold that way. Yeah.
It's sold
that's
that
why.
way. And so like when I felt like I understood, like I would say the prayer and invitation a bunch. A lot. I would say it a lot. Like every time.
Like, did it take?
Yeah, did it take? I don't know. I said it a lot. Like AJ did a concert, the Kingdom Bowl, when the Super Bowl was in Arizona. So we flew to Arizona, and he sang at the Kingdom Bowl right before the Super Bowl. And it was a Christian concert, Christian venue, and they did it there. And I even sang it there. And that was like in February. I said it, and that concert was crazy good. And it was a whole different vibe out there on the West Coast than it is here.
For sure.
And then I started feeling guilty, and I was like, man, I know I'm saved. I don't, like, everybody keeps giving me like a saved birthday, and I'm like, I don't have one of those. And I was like,
yeah.
And then I had a friend tell me, he's like, Jason, if you drive a car from Georgia to Alabama, you see the state line, so you know when you cross. He said, but if you go in an airplane and you get off the airplane, you're in Alabama and you came from Georgia. He said, you still cross the line.
Yeah.
He says, you don't got to have the exact time. You just got to know that you made it.
Right,
you just gotta know you made it.
You'll know by the fruits of your life, right? You'll know that that man that I once was is not who I am now, and there was a distinct change in this time window. Like, you know.
Well, there's people that'll tell you if you don't know the date, like, you don't, like, you should be able to point definitively to this day. I don't believe that.
No.
I mean, that's crazy talk. Like, that's a process, you know, that
you change slowly.
Yeah, man.
In
That's
different departments over a amount of time.
That's just a crazy thing to say.
I think you'll know the year. Like, you'll know during this year there was some big things changed. And
I got baptized that summer.
Okay.
So that summer I got baptized, and I think, man, there might have been around 40 people from my gym, from the gym, showed up to my baptism.
Really? From Scramble?
From Scramble. Some people outside of my gym and 40 people from my gym, and I'm talking people that don't believe in God, people that are Catholic, people that are Protestant. One of my students who's Muslim come to my church to watch me get baptized. Like just a bunch of people that love me and who saw the change in me and how I operated beforehand from left to right, and which was very hard for me too, especially with the way I teach.
Yeah.
The way I teach adults too, because I used to, like I was listening to Chad talk last week about how he got saved and he immediately quit cussing.
Yeah.
That's a hard one for me. I don't do it that much when I'm out around people because I believe it can be a stumbling block.
Yeah.
But when I'm in private, like I don't do it in a derogatory sense, but like an exclamation point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's hard, and I work on it. Mm-hmm. But, like, there's so much that changed, but I used it so much when I taught. And I was like, man, I'm changed now, and these people know I'm changed. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, no, I cussed so much, and I used, like, humor, like, as humor to keep people's attention. Because when you have a big crowd of people, not only when you're giving out details, you have to learn to carry and control a room. Yeah. That's the biggest part of teaching. I mean, you could teach something very minuscule, but if you can't control the room, people are going to start talking or looking. They need to know what's going on TikTok.
Yeah.
And or what conversation they're having before you started talking.
Yeah. So
I would use very crude humor, and that's what I was kind of known for. But I could carry a room of 100 people when I was teaching jiu-jitsu. And that was a very hard change for me to change that. Now, I still make jokes about people in the room when I see eyeballs drifting, but it's very different than it was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like, that kind of stuff's super hard.
Has that been one of the biggest challenges of dying to that part of yourself? Or
I would say that and, like, that and my temper. Like, I fought that a good bit. I let a lot of stuff go that I used to not because I'm supposed to love everybody.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to love everybody. I'm supposed to turn the other cheek. And then then you read things about what the turning the other cheek. There's so many different examples of what turning the other cheek means.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, like, it's hard to turn the other cheek when something's happening to you and something's happening to someone that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do you like contain this person?
Yeah.
If you can't contain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like I'm going to be probably faced with that this weekend. We have the jiu-jitsu tournament coming up.
Yeah.
And I have that lingering situation with like the little split up with our jiu-jitsu school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be faced with that in person for the first time this weekend. And I believe I'll do well. Because I'm going to try to stay on the opposite side of the street.
Yeah.
But I'm not a super mature man, you know. I feel like sometimes I'm a 14-year-old in a 39-year-old body. And but the majority of my life I handled things with violence.
Yeah.
And I handled things with people being scared of me. Yeah. And it's really weird to say because I'm 5'7" and 167 pounds. I don't feel like I'm an intimidating person, but people that know me feel differently.
Yeah.
You know, so like, it's weird. It's weird to have your identity in one thing, and then find your identity in something completely different.
Yeah.
And then hold on to that and cherish the new thing so much that you have to die to your old self.
Yeah.
Like, cause that identity was me my entire life.
Yeah.
And being able to represent someone that I love so much now is way more important.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not difficult.
Yeah, it's like God's given you this gift and you have developed it all your life into something that he did not intend it to be. And now you still have it, but you have Christ, who is your identity. And now you have to figure out how to use this gift he's given you that has been misused and turn it
completely misused
for good, right?
Yes.
And which you are doing a great
you're
job
doing it
at.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, I mean that the gym is such a special place, man. I look forward to coming there.
Well, God really did me a justice by picking me up and sitting me on the rock, like with my wife and my boys, like put me in a place where I could be mentored by people who are way more mature than me. And my sons are way more mature than I am. Mm-hmm. So like he put me in a place where I'm surrounded, and put Riley in a place where she's surrounded and she's loved in a way that she would have never been loved before by anybody, because you're just not known. Like that kind of love's not known. Mm-hmm. Like we had this talk a little bit before, like I've never been around anyone who was nice to me that didn't want anything.
Yeah.
Because of who I was.
Yeah.
And even when she was first nice to me, I even told her, I was like, this is kind of weird because I'm just waiting for you to ask me for something.
Yeah.
What is it that you need? Like, what is it you need? Because I'm waiting for you to be like, ask me for your boys to train for free, or for me to start coaching them, like giving boxing lessons or doing something like. But it never happened. It never happened.
Yeah, that's such a hard
And why is she like this? Why is she like this? Mm-hmm. And because she knows Christ is the reason she's like that.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what made me so curious. Like no one in my life would stand up for people, love people.
You saw real love for the first time.
Never seen it. Never, like I've never been around people that would want anything to do with me without needing something from me. Without needing something from me, with nothing in return.
Yeah.
I've always felt I was the person doing that. Like I'm just giving with nothing receiving nothing all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I need to know what she knows.
Yeah.
I need to know what she knows.
That's a hard thing to deal with, because even, I mean, especially me, we aren't famous, but you meet people and they want to be a part of what you're doing or whatever. And at least I'm always thinking like, all right, well, what do they want? But there are a lot of genuinely good people out there, but it's hard to let your guard down and just love the person. Like, hey, even if they are wanting something, like they're in my life for, like, God's put them here for a reason. And then you can flip the script and not be looking for what it is. At least this is my perspective, not be looking for it is of what they want, but like, how can I just love them? And if they do want something, then I'll just give it to them. Like, to me, I'll let people take advantage of me with that all the time, because I just think it represents I think it represents Christ well, not in like a cheap way that you can get whatever you want from him and, take advantage of him, but that, like, I just love people. I think that is something God has given me, is just the ability to love people regardless of where they're at or what they've been through or who they are now. It's really easy for me to look past those things and to see the person as a person. But it is hard and to get that thought out of your mind of like, what do they want? Like, what's the reason?
Absolutely, especially when it's what you've known forever.
Yeah.
Especially like people that have grown up in very poor communities. Like we work with this ministry called Sleep in Heavenly Peace a lot.
Yeah.
And we build beds and you deliver them to kids that are literally sleeping on the floor. And we go to these houses, and my wife and my stepsons they've been very lucky their entire lives. They did not grow up in the same environments that I grew up in. But we go to these houses, and she'll be like, there's nobody living in that house. There's plywood on the window, and there's plastic on this window. We walk in the house, there's literal holes that you can put your whole body through.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is just what this community looks like.
Yeah.
I was like, those parents live here. They probably lived here when they were kids, somewhere in one of these houses. And this all they know. I said, the kids are going to be running around barefoot, be broken bottles in the house. And I was like, the kids are happy. to an extent.
It's all they know.
It's all they know. They don't know anything different. And it's like, and it's crazy they don't know anything different. I said, but the thing is the thing that they don't know is that no one's ever going to be nice or love these kids for no reason.
Yeah.
Until we walk in there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that one thing, we can do that to them, because I didn't get that till I was 36.
Yeah.
And we can do that to these little kids, and they'll hold on to that forever.
Yeah.
And you'll go into these houses, and these kids are like angry, and they're mad at you. And then when you're leaving, they're hugging you.
Yeah.
And they're nice. And sometimes they'll come to church with us. And
Yeah.
It's an awesome experience to actually get to go doing the community builds where we build the beds and stuff is awesome. But getting to go to the houses and deliver the beds that's where it's at.
Yeah, I've always thought we should. There's a song, and I don't remember the exact lyrics, but it says something about what have I done to deserve a love like this, like talking about Christ. Like, what have I done to deserve to be loved like this? And that's always been a challenge to myself, to treat people in a way that they would say, dang, like, why are you doing this for me?
Yeah.
What have I done to deserve this? Because that is how I view Christ in my life. Like, geez, I'm, like all this stuff I've done wrong and continue to do wrong and mess up on, and you still use me and call me. What have I done to deserve this? And we should reflect that. And so that's really cool that, that's special to be able to go in there and do that and the parents too, right? Some of them might be seeing that for the first time too.
Absolutely.
So
those generational curses, they're real things.
Yeah.
They're real things.
Well, what's we may have talked about it a little bit already, but what's your mission now? Is it the gym, and that's your focus of now repurposing what had been, for you all your life, and now turning that and repurposing it kind of as a ministry, or do you have anything?
Yeah, I completely look at my gym as my ministry. Like, I have a rule. I've talked to you about it before. Like, when I walk into the gym, I have a rule where I speak about God at least once every time I walk in the gym.
Yeah.
But I have necklaces with crosses hanging up in random places. So when people bring them up to them, we do an after school care program now with one of the city schools, and we have books with stickers that have verses and stuff in them. So when they get playtime, they get to go through that stuff. So we get to talk to them. We pray before we eat snacks, and it's like subtle things that get to help. But me getting to show love and how I've changed, and I get to talk to young men, young kids, adult men, and women with things that I've experienced and been around. Invite them, show them love. That's like talking about church. I heard y'all talking about church the other day, and I see my gym as like what the biblical church is like.
Yeah.
And like I've not found a place. In my experience where you can find an assistant district attorney, a person that's out on bond, a nonprofit owner, a cop, a nurse, a college student, a high school student, a
drug
recovering addict, an active addict, and everything in between, all in one place, talking, laughing, cutting up, helping one another.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they walk out the door, they're 100% walking on the opposite side of the road from one another. But when they're inside there, they're sharing this bond, and like that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Feeding in and building one another up. And as I move farther on in life, I think I'm going to be able to push the boundaries on what I can and what I can't get away with, on how much Jesus, the community, will let me push into it without me having to wait for it to be brought up,
With the younger
kids.
Yeah.
With the younger kids,
Yeah, because that's an after school.
Yeah, well, you have to. I think the rule is that you can talk about it if the kids bring it up.
Yeah.
You just can't talk about it if you just can't bring it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really special thing.
We
that you're
were
doing.
very blessed. All the kids that are in our after school care program they go to church.
Okay.
So we just kind of get to
It's a non-issue.
we get to develop their knowledge and feed into them a little bit where they kind of, well, Easter's not about Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not what it's about because
Right.
that's the answer we get.
Yep.
It is not about Easter eggs.
Yeah. Are you are you going to compete anymore in jiu-jitsu, or where are you at with that?
I really want to. My goal before I hang the spurs up is to make a run at the Worlds, like the championships. So I'm at the top of my age bracket, which is second old man bracket. So I'm hoping that I can do two competitions this year, and then maybe make a run at the Worlds next year. But it really just depends. I teach so much, I don't train. I roll, I live train 2 or 3 times a day, 4 days a week. And then I teach Friday nights, and I'm there Saturday morning. So I'm in the gym 6 days, but I don't train. Like, I don't train technique.
Yeah.
I just roll with y'all. So I don't count that.
Well, and there's probably not.
I
Maybe there's one person that gives you a little bit of a challenge.
No, I have guys in the gym that give me a challenge.
Okay.
But like, I have a machete, but I'm just hacking at brush.
Yeah.
I don't ever get to sharpen it.
Yeah.
So like that stagnant drilling and the situational drilling, that's when you're sharpening the blade.
Yeah. Okay.
I know I can swing the machete hard.
Yeah.
Like, I can swing it hard, and I still chop stuff down. Even the guys that are good in the gym, like, I can still get them, sometimes, but or the guys that come and train with me from other places, I still get those guys, but I need to make myself suffer to have confidence to be able to compete.
Yeah.
When I competed regularly, that is the thing that gives me my confidence. It's not my skills. Yep. It's my willingness to know that I've endured more suffering than anyone else that I touch.
Yeah.
So like, it's the fighting is the easy part. It's the training that should be hard.
Yeah, it's the same way with running, right? I mean,
so that so many times, like, people think the 100-mile race is this big deal. It's kind of like, a real jiu-jitsu match is like that's it. That's the hard
10 minutes.
And I know a 100-mile race, it's long, but it's like, compare that to the months and months of training. It's literally a small fraction of a percentage. That's the total body of work. So that's the easy part.
Like on my birthday the other night.
yeah.
I rolled with live rolls like you and Chad did. I did 6-minute rounds with no break for an hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
No break. Just one every 6 minutes. I got a new person. No break.
They're all fresh.
Well,
fresher than you.
Sometimes they would sit out and they'd
yeah.
come roll with me. Sometimes they go eat some pizza and they come roll with me. But for an hour and 50 minutes, I didn't get a break. And I wasn't tired when I was done.
Yeah.
But the difference is like, they're giving me the B-day roll intensity where they're trying to kill me. But the difference between me and if they were rolling with Blake, like, they might roll hard with Blake every day, but everybody tries to kill me on a regular basis because I'm at the top of the totem pole at our school. So they're just rolling with me normal. So it's a normal roll for me.
Yeah.
So, but I roll every day, all day long. So it's like, I just got sweaty. Like,
Yeah.
I sweaty. There was a couple of times that I had to hold some guys down and drink my water and then sit back down on the edge of the
Dude, I seen that move. I don't know who the guy was. He had like longer hair, but you got him up in the air somehow and went back behind you.
I flipped him over
and
my
wound up on top of him. I thought, good night.
Well, that's got to have a name to it where you drink water in the middle of it. That's got to be called like the dad move or something.
I actually took the recording off the security camera, so I have it on my phone. I'll show it to y'all when we're done.
Funny. That's awesome.
I won't mention Justin's name.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing all that with us. I know a lot of that was maybe challenging to talk about or going back to those places, but I really do think it will help a lot of people, because a lot of people have came up in those ways and maybe even are in that spot now. So Cornbread's got a Patreon question for us. So we have a Patreon account where people come and support the podcast, and really they are the reason that we're able to do a lot of the things that we do. Because of their donation that they make, we're able to set aside time to do this and not have to spend it out running more courses or doing more things. And so we take a question of the week every week on Wednesday, and Cornbread picks it out for us. So are you getting plenty of questions, or do they need to start sending more?
No, I mean, we're getting some, but I always keep sending them.
Yeah, if you're on Patreon, send Cornbread some questions.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, send something worth talking about. Don't send something like, what kind of tripod you got your camera on or something.
But just because your question didn't get read doesn't mean it was a stupid question. I mean, there's a lot that comes in. We pick one a week. So, not to discredit you.
Don't mean it won't get read in October.
That's true.
Yeah, keep sending them.
Corn will pull them deep cuts.
That's right. This is from Alec Tincher.
Remember Alec, don't you?
I don't remember Alec Tincher.
Are you insane? He was on the Rop Court. Oh, you weren't. It was so long ago you weren't.
Before him?
Yeah, I think that may have been before you. Was that before you? I don't know.
To answer your question, I'm not insane.
Well, Alec is an actor. He's a great guy. He's been at
races.
I
remember Alec. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Now the question's got a new light, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Alec. I remember you, bub.
He didn't know his last name.
Can you give any advice on talking to others about Christ for the first time? It can sometimes feel awkward and not truly knowing what to say. And because it feels that way, I often don't say anything.
I guess you encounter that all the time, don't you? I mean,
in the gym?
In the gym.
I do, but I believe, what is it? I'm trying to think of the verse. Maybe it's Matthew 7:6, where it talks about you can't offer pearls to swine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying, if the person's not a believer, you can't preach at them. So you have to be very careful. You can't say, well, you can't do this and you can't do this, because they don't follow the same rules you follow.
Yeah.
And it's just going to turn the person away, and they're going to get angry. They're going to stop listening. You have to show this person love. You have to develop a relationship with this person. They have to come to be able to trust you. Once that person trusts you and you become in a relationship with them, they'll listen to anything you have to say, whether it's making banana pudding or it's talking about Jesus, and they'll accept whatever you have to say.
Yeah.
Once there's a relationship. But you have to develop relationship, and it's harder to do with some people than it is other people, but showing love and building trust, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, if we look at Jesus, he would always, well, not always, but oftentimes meet a need, and then he would share, whatever it is that he was going to share. And I feel like meeting that need gives you an end. If somebody wants some money at a gas station, you give them $20 to put in their tank, well, then they're obligated to listen to you because you just gave them $20. They're not just going to turn their back and walk off. But I think it's also important to understand that nobody comes to the Father except by the drawing of the Holy Spirit. So I think oftentimes we feel this burden of, I need to tell this person this so they can be saved. It's up to me, and when we look at it that way, that's wrong. And we don't
save anybody.
That's right. We put a burden on our back that we can't carry and we can't satisfy. And so when you understand that, then it kind of takes the pressure off of well, how do I share the gospel with this person? You just live it out and you just share the gospel. Hey man, you're in this spot. Do you know about Jesus? Here's what he's done in my life, and he can do the same in yours. And it might just fall flat on its face, or it might change the guy or girl's life.
Yeah,
totally around.
It might get somebody interested in, why does this person not want something from me, like what happened with Jason.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it too, there's sharing Christ by how you treat people, how you talk to them, how you love them, how you show love to them, and then there's sharing the gospel message.
Yeah.
And when you actually break it down and you're meeting somebody for the first time or you're having an encounter, which is more important if they heard the message from you in like almost a hateful way, like you're like, hey, you need to believe this. If you don't, you're going to hell. And it's just that blunt. You showed no compassion for them. You showed no love to them. You just told them the message. And I'm not saying that the message is not powerful in and of itself by any means. I'm not saying that. But it's like if you would just first focus on loving them and treating them and sharing Christ with them that way, that opens the door to then share it. Like, that's like the most important first, in my opinion. Yeah. But you can hear me say that and discount that the gospel message has power on its own, which I'm not trying to say. But you have to actually show love to people and care about them first and foremost.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No.
Because that goes a long way.
The person has to be willing to receive what you're delivering.
Yeah.
So you have to plant the seed. You have to till the ground so you can plant it.
Yeah.
And once you plant it, you got to water it.
Yeah.
You still got to come back and check on it. So it's not just going out and just throwing a bunch of words at somebody.
Yeah.
There's work that has to be done.
Yeah, I would just encourage you not to be discouraged if the interaction you had with somebody, it never maybe came up directly or how you envisioned it or how you wanted to, but you were able to do something, like you showed them love and had a conversation with them. Like, that's not a wasted.
That's not insignificant.
Yeah, that's not insignificant.
Yeah. I think another thing that maybe branching off of that, but with, oftentimes people will flippantly say, will you pray, like, hey, so-and-so's going through this one, will you pray for him?
Oh, yeah.
And my good buddy, Paul Wilder, a good friend, if we're talking about buddies and friends, my good friend, he challenged me a long time ago just to pray with people on the spot when they say that. Will you pray for me? And then you just say, well, hey, you care if we just pray right now?
Yeah. And
that hits people, and that lets them know that you're serious about your faith, that you believe in prayer. And when people are just saying that, sometimes it's people that maybe have served Christ for a while and, are in this spot that now they're asking for prayer. But I think it brings it back to life for them, like, I need to just, I need to start thinking about praying more. And so it's just another way we can not say we're going to do something, but actually do it and show them and live it out in front of them, believers and non-believers both.
Keeps you from forgetting, too.
Yeah.
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 Someone tells you at 8 a.m. and then 10 p.m. rolls around. It's hard to remember that throughout the entire day.
Yep. Yeah. How many people have I told, I'll pray for you, and then I don't?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
I mean, really, just a lot. So that's another good way that we can live it out in front of people. But I think that's right, Chili. I think doing that first is the key. I mean, hearing the gospel preached is in a public setting, right? That's not like, hey, come sit down and let me share. It could be, but typically that message is heard and moved by the Holy Spirit in a public, more of a public setting. Not saying it can't be, but we can't put any, all inclusives on it. But yeah. Well, this is a good question. Thanks, Alec.
We've really gotten away from our normal Wednesdays, and we haven't done the Patreon question or the news. And I do have a news story real fast before you read Super Chats. Patty Pimlet put the beat down on Michael Chandler last week.
Oh, that's fitting news.
I wanted to know what you thought about that. Do you like?
I do watch the UFC. I don't watch it as much as I watch One Fighting Championship.
Okay.
I do like One Fighting Championship better just because there's more, the level of striking I think's higher.
Yeah.
I like that they give water checks for the fighters. So all the fighters are up one weight class, so they're not as dehydrated.
Oh, yeah.
So the fighters don't get as many concussions because when you take really bad weight cuts, you lose fluid around your brain. So you do get knocked out easier, but you get more brain damage. So they do that over there. But yes, the fights are also more exciting because you can head kick people while they're on the ground, and you can knee them on the ground.
Dang.
But the cards are more full. So you have Thai boxing, grappling matches, and MMA, and they switch from a ring one card to a cage next card. So it switches back and forth. But I am kind of glad Bryce Mitchell got choked out. I do like Bryce Mitchell, but
that also happened.
But that ninja choke and then the barking, that was great.
Yeah.
Well, I do have one question too before we. you know, the MMA stuff, like with one championship and UFC and Bellator, like all that, you know, it's growing. Obviously, it's huge, but it seems like there's no part of it's just I'm not engrossed and like totally inside the world of grappling, but I am interested in it. Like I like UFC and MMA but like grappling itself doesn't seem to have good promotion. Is that true, or am I just?
Well, it wasn't true up until the last like 6 years. So it is just now starting to get really
better.
big.
It's like ADCC.
Well, so ADCC's been around since the late 90s.
Yeah.
And that's like the Olympics for jiu-jitsu.
Right.
For no-gi grappling.
Uh-huh.
And Gordon Ryan basically is who made jiu-jitsu athletes start making money.
Yeah.
So he'll probably retire pretty soon, but he's like in his late 20s. And he's the first ever grappler to make $1 million for an event.
Wow.
But he's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard it said that.
But the UFC have a grappling organization now on their Fight Pass.
Yeah.
But Kel Shannon had one too on Fight Pass before.
Yeah.
So they have different ones around the world, but they're usually just people that do jiu-jitsu watch them.
Right.
Because the thing is like you can not know anything about fighting.
And it's fun to watch.
But everybody knows what a punch is.
Yeah.
You might not know how to throw a correct one, but you know what a punch looks like, and we have this deep thing down inside of us, this primal thing about fighting, like especially as men, like this alpha caveman kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But when you start watching jiu-jitsu, especially very technical jiu-jitsu,
There's a learning curve.
You don't really know what's going on, especially when two people are very good and not much is going on. Like there's a lot of stuff going on that's very small, and it kind of gets boring.
Yeah, it's funner to do than it is to watch unless you do it.
Yes, way funner to do, and it's still funner to do than to watch it, unless even if you do it. So, like, that's just the thing. Like, going to live events are always more fun than watching them. Like, AJ bought me Christmas tickets to the last ADCC. It happens every 2 years. It's in Vegas.
That's cool.
So me and him went for my Christmas present this past ADCC, and it was great.
Yeah,
it was great. And but even like the small jiu-jitsu, like the locals that are around the Atlanta area or where you live. I don't know if everybody knows that. I'm not gonna say it. but like the one we're gonna go to Saturday, it's in Marietta. So like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. We have 28 members on our team going to be competing.
What's Anthony doing there?
He's
the super fight thing.
Coach Anthony.
Yeah.
That was last weekend.
Oh, was it last? Okay.
Yeah, he lost a decision.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really good match.
What is a super fight?
So super fight's where you only have one match. So you versus one other guy. It's not a bracket format.
Oh, okay.
So most tournaments are bracket format. So like Riley has 19 people in her bracket.
Oh, okay.
No, that's crazy. Her first tournament. First tournament. So hopefully, it says they're going to try to break them up if there's more than 7. And hers is co-ed, too, at her age.
Shoot.
They're going to try to break it up. So there's 7 girls in her bracket. So they might break it into a bracket of just girls.
Yeah.
Which I hope they do.
Yeah.
I hope they do, because 19 is a big bracket.
Yeah.
That's a big bracket.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Especially for your first one. So, but it's gonna be. We have a lot of kids competing. A lot of kids have never competed before. So we got a bunch of 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds competing. So that's always fun to watch. We got a lot. It's gonna be. This is the most athletes we ever have competed at one time.
Really?
At a tournament, yeah.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. You got some super chats, Poppy?
He's Poppy too, huh?
Yeah.
He's probably a PO.
Yeah, he's old.
P-A-P-P-Y.
He's the old version.
I'm a P-A-P-I. Mine's Spanish.
Poppy.
Yeah. Mine's Poppy like daddy.
Like big
Spanish daddy.
big Poppy, like David Ortiz, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
All right, I know we hadn't been doing super chats
Robert E. Lee.
lately. Nah, I don't think he's on. So we're a little bit down on super chats.
All right,
But that's all right. We appreciate the ones. Marty took a big bulk of them. So we got Marty Bingham at $4.99. He said, I wish y'all would go back to reading super chats on the air. We're doing that just for you, Marty. He come in at number 2 at $4.99. It ain't about the money. I'm still going to slide y'all a little sandwich money, but I just hate to see a good wisecrack go to waste.
Yeah, we hate it too, Marty. We'll retroactively read some of yours from last week. It's all about Chad's lunch lady arms anyway.
Y'all are on the same page. He said, come back in at $9.99. Maybe you could save them up and read them once a month or something.
Yeah.
We getting back to doing it, Marty. Don't you worry.
We've just been distracted lately.
Little Virgil, he come in at 99 cents. You remember he said he was going to send that cake emoji with that
the
candle
cake,
in it?
Yeah, that one candle.
Yeah.
You know, it's the old faithfuls that come in, ain't it?
Yeah.
Marty Bingham and Little Virgil.
Yeah, Little Virgil, he was burning the chat down. Look at that. He was burning it down. Tom Brandon come in at $20.
Yep. Thank you of the year.
It's a good point, Blake. I picked up the habit years ago from a good friend and mentor of mine of praying immediately when someone asks for prayer or expresses a concern.
Yep.
It seems like how Jesus did it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for your super chats. Thanks for tuning in. If you got anything out of this, share it. Jason, I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything,
man,
brother. That was really good. So we'll catch y'all on Monday for Matthew chapter 13.
Matthew 1.
All right. See y'all next time.
See ya.